So what if I told you that a literal piece of gravel pulled from a freezing river in Montana is believed by some people to act as like a metaphysical wireless charging station for the human soul?
I mean, it sounds completely wild.
Right?
Like going from just a regular rock in the dirt to this highly tuned instrument for emotional regulation and spiritual growth, for that matter. It sounds like a massive leap.
It really does.
But, when you actually start connecting the geological history of certain stones with how human beings have historically interacted with them, those leaps suddenly look like a very logical bridge.
And that is exactly the bridge we are crossing today. So welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We have gathered this massive stack of research, historical notes, and metaphysical texts, and it is all centered around one incredibly specific piece of the earth, which is Montana agate.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one.
Our mission today is to take you through all this material to understand not just what this stone physically is, but really the why and how behind its powerful reputation.
Because it's not just a pretty rock.
Exactly. We're going to explore its physical origins, unpack its reputation for generating grounded maturity, and look at the highly specific, sometimes surprising ways it's used in practice.
Well, to truly get a handle on the metaphysical weight of Montana agate, I think we have to start by looking at the sheer violence of its physical birth.
Right, because this is not a stone that just gently materialized.
Not at all. It formed during the Pleistocene period. And for context, we are talking about the Ice Age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Imagine colossal glaciers, literal miles thick, just slowly grinding across the North American continent. They were literally crushing and reshaping the face of the planet with unfathomable pressure.
That is just an insane crucible to be born in.
It really is.
And today, you primarily find this stone just, tumbling around in the alluvial gravels of the Yellowstone River, which is why you'll often hear it called Yellowstone agate.
Right. It's deeply centralized around that greater Yellowstone Park area.
But what completely hooked me when I was looking at the visual descriptions is that it doesn't look like your standard, opaque, boring rock.
Oh, definitely not. It has a remarkably complex structure. It's quite a hard stone, primarily consisting of silica, specifically quartz.
Oh.
But more accurately, it's characterized by these nodules of gray, semi-transparent chalcedony.
And for anyone who, like me, is unfamiliar with that term, what exactly is chalcedony?
It's essentially microcrystalline quartz. The quartz crystals are so infinitesimally tiny that you actually need a microscope to see the crystalline structure.
That is wild.
Yeah, and it gives the stone this smooth, almost waxy luster. It actually lets light pass right through it.
And suspended inside that little semi-transparent window are these breathtaking inclusions.
They really are beautiful.
You have red iron oxide and black manganese oxide. But they don't just look like random spots or blemishes. The manganese forms these organic-looking dendrites that branch out perfectly.
Wait, dendrite?
It honestly looks like tiny, mysterious fossilized forests, or maybe like winter landscapes permanently frozen inside a glass globe.
It's a stunning visual. And that specific image, a fragile-looking ancient forest safely encased inside a shield of rock-hard quartz, is just the perfect physical metaphor for its primary metaphysical meaning.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, the defining characteristic of Montana agate across multiple traditions is deep, unbreakable stability. It's recognized as the ultimate stone of grounded maturity.
Grounded maturity.
Exactly. The intense physical hardness of the silica mirrors the emotional and spiritual fortitude it supposedly provides.
So let's actually unpack that phrase, grounded maturity, because I feel like it's super easy to misinterpret.
Oh, absolutely.
When I hear maturity, my mind instantly goes to, aging.
Right.
I think of finally caring about my credit score, complaining about my knees, or, settling down and getting a mortgage.
Yeah, but the source material draws a very sharp line here.
Right.
In this context, maturity has absolutely nothing to do with your biological age, your resume, or your income. It is defined entirely as achieving inner stability.
Okay, inner stability.
Yeah, it's the process of gaining this deep, unshakable confidence in your specific place in the universe. It's about recognizing your personal power and owning it quietly.
Quietly being the key word there.
Right, without that frantic need to prove your worth to anyone else in the room.
I love that definition. But I do have a fundamental question about the mechanics of this.
Sure.
Because if this stone's energy is so intensely focused on stability and being, grounded, does that mean it makes you static?
What do you mean?
Well, life requires constant adaptation.
Yeah.
If I am perfectly stable and anchored like a giant boulder, am I just going to become resistant to change?
That is a brilliant question, and honestly, it addresses the biggest misconception people have about grounding stones. Yeah. The reality is quite the opposite. Think of a massive oak tree. It can only grow incredibly tall, and it can only sway in violent winds because its root system is deeply and aggressively anchored in the dirt.
Ah, I see.
Montana agate operates on that exact principle. It doesn't lock you in place, it provides a fortified foundation so that you actually have the safety and the energy to seek profound spiritual and physical growth.
So how does a literal rock facilitate that growth in a practical day-to-day sense? Like for you listening right now, how does it help?
Well, by fundamentally altering your relationship with the present moment. Think about it. When you lack grounding, you are constantly living in the future.
Rushing past today's tasks just to get to tomorrow's anxiety.
Exactly. You gloss over the little things. Montana agate forces you to slow down and process the present. It ensures you are actually extracting the wisdom hidden in your everyday experiences rather than just merely surviving them.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that deliberate, quiet processing is what fuels constant evolution.
You know, that brings up a really fascinating detail I found in the folklore surrounding the stone.
Oh, about the dendrites.
Yes. Because of those branching, tree-like dendrites inside the quartz, some traditions believe that Montana agate literally contains the energetic remnants of an ancestral tree.
It's a beautiful concept.
It really is. It's viewed as this living tether that connects us to our earliest ancestors and directly to the spirit of Mother Earth.
Which aligns perfectly with the mechanics of the human energy system, or what we call the chakras.
Right.
While its frequency supposedly connects to all the physical chakras, it's specifically renowned for clearing the Earth Star chakra.
Okay, let's demystify that for a second. We hear a lot about the heart chakra or the third eye, but what exactly is the Earth Star chakra doing?
You can think of the Earth Star chakra as your metaphysical taproot.
Taproot, okay.
Yeah, and it's located about 12 to 18 inches below your actual feet.
Wait, really? It's not even in your physical body?
Nope. It's your energetic anchor extending directly into the planet. By clearing that specific space, Montana agate balances your yin and yang energies. And crucially, it safely grounds Kundalini energy.
And just as a refresher, Kundalini is that raw, intense, evolutionary life force energy, right?
Exactly.
Like the kind of intense drive that can totally overwhelm your nervous system if it just spikes upward without anywhere to go.
Right, because if you have a massive surge of creative or emotional energy and absolutely no grounding, it usually manifests as severe anxiety or panic.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
The stone opens that channel below your feet so that your physical vehicle feels completely secure. The energy can flow down into the earth and circulate safely rather than just getting all bottled up in your chest or your head.
Which naturally brings us to our emotional reality. Because if this stone acts as a literal anchor to the earth, it makes sense that it would also translate into being an anchor for our messy, unpredictable human emotions.
It's heavily used for that.
There is this specific comparison used in the literature that really stuck with me. They describe Montana agate's energy as being like a patient and understanding loved one.
I love that phrase. Think about the psychology of that for a moment. What does a truly patient loved one actually do?
They listen.
They listen, yes. They don't try to instantly fix you, and they certainly don't abandon you when you are being difficult. They hold space.
Right.
They support your emotional health regardless of your glaring faults. When you're deeply distressed, acting out, or just being entirely unreasonable, they don't leave you twisting in the wind. That unconditional stabilizing presence is the exact frequency this crystal is said to emit.
It is basically an emotional lightning rod. I was trying to think of it as a shock absorber initially, but a lightning rod is far more accurate.
How so?
Well, we all have those moments where a massive, chaotic strike of rage or profound sadness just hits us out of nowhere.
Oh, sure. Traffic, a bad email.
Exactly. Instead of letting that strike burn your house down, meaning instead of lashing out at a coworker or spiraling into depression, the agate takes that intense charge and instantly grounds it safely into the earth. It acts as a release valve for entrenched defensive thinking.
And by acting as that lightning rod, it facilitates one of the most practical yet incredibly difficult skills a human being can master.
Which is?
Self-control.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the world we live in is just a minefield of temptations and distractions. We're constantly prodded to react impulsively.
Buy this, click that.
Yeah. to buy things, to snap at people online, to just constantly chase immediate gratification.
Well, the warm, stabilizing energies of Montana agate actively strengthen your poise. It supposedly interrupts the brain's impulsive feedback loop.
Like a circuit breaker.
Precisely. When a temptation arises, the stone's grounded energy creates this crucial micropause.
A micropause.
Yeah, it gives you the composure to stop, evaluate the urge, and consciously step back from desires that are ultimately destructive. It replaces frantic craving with quiet, deliberate resolve.
But this isn't just happening in some, isolated emotional vacuum. One of the core tenets of these metaphysical traditions is that the mind and body are intrinsically linked.
100%.
So if you are acting as a lightning rod for emotional rage all day and, constantly clenching up with tension, that is going to wreak havoc on your physical biology, right?
Without a doubt. We know scientifically that the gut and the brain are deeply connected.
Right.
When you hold on to anger, fear, or resentment, your body physically responds to that. Your fascia tightens up, your cortisol levels spike, and your digestion essentially shuts down. By stabilizing the emotional body, Montana agate naturally unwinds that biological stress.
And that biological unwinding really explains the remarkably specific roster of physical healing claims associated with it.
The list is quite extensive.
It really is. The texts state that Montana agate eases issues affecting the pancreas, the digestive system, the intestines, and the stomach. It's also utilized to boost the immune system, improve blood circulation, and even support the reproductive organs.
Now notice the geographical pattern in that list you just gave.
Geography. Oh, you mean in the body?
Yeah. The stomach, the intestines, the reproductive organs, they are all centrally located in the lower core of the physical body.
Huh.
This is not a coincidence. It corresponds directly with the metaphysical belief that Montana agate primarily brings healing to the root and sacral chakras.
Oh, okay.
The sacral chakra, which sits just below the navel, governs our relationships, our creativity, and our deep physical vitality. By unwinding the tension there, the physical organs resting in that exact same area naturally begin to function better.
I see the logic there, totally. But I have to wonder, looking at the wider world of crystals, we have blue lace agate, moss agate, carnelian. Since they're all agates, do they all just do this exact same thing?
No.
Or does Montana agate have a specific niche that actually sets it apart?
There is a vital distinction here. All agates do share a family trait. They all vibrate at a slower, lower frequency than many other stones, which is what makes them inherently protective, strengthening, and grounding. But the specific Pleistocene origins and the incredibly complex mineral inclusions of Montana agate give it a unique specialization.
Which is?
Holistic integration.
Integration meaning it ties different systems together.
Exactly that. It isn't just treating an isolated symptom like, say, calming a fast heartbeat. It integrates all parts of your being.
Wow.
It supposedly shields the energy bodies from the external negativity of the world while simultaneously promoting deep composure across your physical, emotional, and spiritual layers. It basically forces all your systems to talk to each other in harmony.
That systemic harmony makes total sense of this one incredibly actionable tip I found in the sources.
Oh, which one?
So if you suffer from insomnia, the text suggests simply placing the agate under your pillow.
Ah, yeah.
Because if you think about it, insomnia is rarely just a physical inability to sleep. It is almost always an entrenched, racing mind, absolutely refusing to let the body power down. So by putting that literal anchor of quiet resolve right beneath your head, you are dragging the mind out of the future anxieties and allowing the physical body to finally rest.
It is the perfect application of its integrating energy.
Now, I want to pivot slightly here because everything we've discussed so far is based on the material itself, the quartz, the manganese, the silica.
The geology of it, yeah.
Right. But the texts introduce a whole new layer of complexity when human intervention gets involved.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yes. They argue that the shape the stone takes, or the geometry it is purposely carved into, fundamentally alters how its baseline grounding energy behaves.
Right, this is a foundational concept in metaphysics. It's known as the geometry of energy.
The geometry of energy.
You can think of it kind of like the acoustics in a concert hall.
Okay, I'm tracking.
The material of the walls absolutely matters, but the shape of the room dictates how the sound waves actually bounce and amplify. The form dictates the function. And the first geometric shape that changes Montana agate's behavior is the geode.
Geodes are just so fascinating to me. To the naked eye, they just look like these lumpy, ordinary, kind of ugly rocks.
They really do.
But when you crack them open, They are hollowed out, with the entire inner cavity lined with these sparkling crystals.
From a metaphysical perspective, geodes are viewed as the ultimate representation of the divine feminine aspect.
Because of the shape.
Yes. That internal crystalline cavity is universally viewed as symbolizing the womb. Because of this concave, sheltering shape, they aren't just grounding tools anymore. They become powerful stimulators for family harmony and the flow of chi, or life force energy.
So you wouldn't just carry it in your pocket.
Right. Placing a large geode in the corner of a chaotic home is said to completely restructure the room's energy.
And there is this brilliant mechanic to how they operate that I read about. If you place another crystal, say a piece of rose quartz that feels energetically dull or depleted, directly inside the cavity of the geode, it acts as a metaphysical wireless charging station.
I love that analogy.
It's so cool. It cleanses and recharges the other stones simultaneously.
It's a phenomenal mechanism, really. The concavity of the geode acts almost like a parabolic reflector.
Okay, a reflector.
Yeah, its total power isn't just the stone itself, it's the sum total of hundreds of tiny crystal points lining that inner surface, all bouncing energy inward, combined with the ancient grounding base of the agate shell. It's basically a massive self-contained generator of harmonious energy.
Okay, so a geode is a natural shape. Mother Nature did that.
True.
But then we have deliberate human carving. And this is where I admit I was initially a bit taken aback by the source material.
The skulls, right.
Yes. The texts dive deep into the use of crystal skulls. They take this beautiful grounding stone and they carve it into highly anatomical human skulls. I won't lie, my first reaction was, isn't that a little macabre?
Oh, it is a very common first reaction. We are heavily conditioned in our society to view skulls as symbols of mortality or death or danger.
Right, like poison or pirates.
Exactly. But in energetic practices, carving a crystal into a skull has nothing to do with morbidity. It is entirely about the principle of resonance.
Resonance.
Yes. The human skull is our natural biological receiver for consciousness. By carving the stone into that exact geometric proportion, it supposedly tunes the energy to directly target the chakras located inside your own head.
The third eye and the crown chakra.
Exactly.
So it is literally a physical key cut to fit a very specific energetic lock.
That's a great way to phrase it.
And what it supposedly unlocks is just wild. These human-looking crystal skulls are utilized to access the profound wisdom of lost civilizations.
It's a huge part of the lore.
We are talking about connecting to the knowledge of the Mayans, the Druids, the Atlanteans, and the Lemurians.
And it actually goes even further than human history.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because the geometry expands consciousness so immensely, different skulls are said to connect users with ascended masters, which are essentially spiritually enlightened beings who have bypassed the physical plane entirely,
Oh, wow.
as well as spirit guides and even star beings. The overarching purpose of forcing this ancient grounding stone into the shape of a skull is to anchor extremely high-level, high-vibration spiritual communication so that it doesn't overwhelm the human receiver.
It pulls cosmic knowledge down to Earth.
Exactly.
That is just staggering to think about. I mean, you start with gravel tumbling around under a Pleistocene glacier, and through human carving, it becomes a literal receiver for Atlantean wisdom. It really shows how malleable the energy of the Earth is.
It does. And that deep foundational tie to the earth, specifically to the goddess Gaia and the earth element itself, is precisely why Montana agate has gathered such an extensive, highly specific web of ritual associations.
Yes. Let's get into that.
Different traditions have basically figured out how to pair this stone with other natural elements to exponentially amplify its grounding effects.
I really want to dig into these associations because on the surface, it honestly reads like a random shopping list.
It kind of does.
But once you look at the why behind them, it is actually a blueprint for psychological and energetic grounding. Let's look at astrology first. Montana agate is tied to Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo.
Which is perfectly logical. Those are the 3 earth signs of the zodiac.
Right.
They natively govern pragmatism, hard work, and material stability. The stone is just a physical manifestation of their astrological baseline.
Okay, but then we get to the herbs and roots. The traditions pair the stone specifically with ashwagandha, ginger root, turmeric, and dandelion root.
Very specific choices.
And for scents, they use lavender and cedarwood oils and patchouli or vetiver incense. They also associate it with lighting a brown candle. And finally, the animal spirits. Bears, wolves, dogs, ants, and mythical earth spirits like gnomes and dwarfs. Why these specific things?
Let's apply a unified theory to this list. Look at the animals you just mentioned.
Bears, ants.
Right. They didn't choose soaring eagles or light and fast cheetahs. They chose bears, which literally hibernate and physically anchor themselves to the rhythms of the Earth's seasons.
Oh, I see where you're going.
They chose ants, which are relentless, community-driven builders working entirely in the dirt. The psychological traits of these creatures perfectly mirror the exact energetic traits of the stone.
And the roots.
Ah.
Ginger and dandelion don't just grow easily. They aggressively fight their way through compacted soil to anchor themselves.
Exactly.
And patchouli and vetiver, I know from looking into fragrances, are renowned in perfumery for being the heaviest, most earthy base notes you can possibly find.
Precisely. This is not just a random list of trivia. It is a brilliant guide to sensory stacking.
Sensory stacking.
Yeah. Think about it for you, the listener. If you are having a panic attack or you are completely unmoored by a major life event, holding the agate alone definitely helps. But if you simultaneously light a brown candle, utilizing the color psychology of the earth,
Right.
and you burn vetiver incense to trigger the olfactory bulb with deep, musky scents, and you drink a hot tea made of dandelion root, you are entirely hacking your nervous system.
We are building a 360-degree ecosystem of grounding.
Exactly.
You are forcing your sight, smell, taste, and touch to all tune in to the exact same frequency of stability. That is incredibly powerful.
It's an immersive experience.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of territory today. We traced the epic journey of Montana agate, starting as a fiercely hard, silica-rich nodule forming under the crushing weight of Ice Age glaciers.
A long way from where it ended up.
Definitely. We explored how its physical resilience translates directly into the metaphysical power of grounded maturity, teaching us that true stability isn't about standing still, but about growing deep roots so we can actually reach higher.
We examined how it functions as an emotional lightning rod, safely absorbing our rage and impulsive desires, which in turn physically unwinds the biological tension stored in our guts and our sacral chakra.
And we looked at how humans manipulate its geometry, using the divine feminine parabolic energy of geodes to charge our spaces, or incredibly, carving it into skulls to safely download cosmic wisdom.
It really is a versatile tool.
So, for you listening to this deep dive, the ultimate takeaway here is the vital importance of having an anchor. We live in an era of absolute information overload, bombarded by notifications, anxieties, and relentless temptations.
It's exhausting.
It is. Having a tool, whether you are physically holding a banded piece of Yellowstone agate or you are simply adopting the mental framework it represents, to pause, breathe, and extract the wisdom from the present moment is absolutely essential to surviving modern life.
Which brings us to one final, deeply profound thought drawn from our material today. The texts explicitly note that Montana agate doesn't just ground you.
What else does it do?
When placed near other stones, it acts as a stabilizing conductor. It brings out their unique elements and amplifies their specific healing capabilities to perfect harmony.
It basically makes everything around it better just by being there.
Exactly. And that leaves you, the listener, with a critical question to ponder long after we finish today.
I love a good question.
If a single ancient stone can act as a stabilizing force that draws out the absolute best in everything around it, who are the human agates in your life?
Wow.
Who are those patient, unbreakable people whose mere presence makes you feel safe enough to grow? And perhaps the most important question of all, how can you cultivate that same quiet, mature energy so that you can become that grounding force for the people who need it most?
That is the real work right there, becoming the anchor. It all circles back to looking deep into the center of that stone, seeing those tiny, dark, fossilized forests trapped in clear quartz.
It's millions of years of pressure.
Millions of years of pressure, heat, and unimaginable change, resulting in something perfectly still, perfectly strong, and breathtakingly clear, is a reminder that maturity isn't about avoiding the glaciers that life pushes over you. It is about letting that pressure forge you into something that can truly hold its ground.